July 2022, a day that the Lord has made and a day that we are rejoicing and we are being glad in it. Amen. In our meditation this morning, look at our readings from Luke chapter 19, verse 41 to the end. And then 1 Samuel chapter 1, verse 21, reading through to chapter 2, verse 11. And our psalm will be Psalm 106, and it is a call to sacrifice. Yesterday, we looked at the call of Jesus that he needs us to unleash those lions in us. He needs us to unleash those passions, those giftings, those fruits that he has put in us. And it is believed that after unleashing them, it's going to bring glory unto his holy name. And yesterday in the Samuel, we read about the story of Hannah, who had been barren for a long time and who had entered into prayers. And it is important to note that at some point in her prayer, she made a vow unto God and said that if God even grants her a son, then she's going to sacrifice that son to God. And she's going to make sure that no razor touches her hair. Let us note the sacrifice that Hannah made unto God in chapter 1. And I also want to ask that, it wasn't the first time Hannah had gone to Jerusalem to pray. It wasn't the first time that she had gone there with her family. All the time she's been praying for, and for a lot of years she was barren. So I want to ask, I want to believe that in chapter 1, when she made that special prayer, when she made that special sacrifice unto God, when she made that special offering unto God, that is when God heard her prayers. And that is what I also want I want us to see this morning. We read our gospel, Luke chapter 19, verse 41. It says that, and as he approached Jerusalem and saw the city, he wept over it and said, if you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes. The days will come upon you when your enemies will build an embankment against you and encircle you and hem you in on every side. They will dash you to the ground, you and the children within your walls. They will not leave one stone on another, because you did not recognize the time of God's coming to you. Verse 41 again says that, if you, even you, had known on this day what would bring you peace. I want to believe that if Hannah had known that what would have brought her peace, if Hannah had known that if she had made the sacrifice, God himself would have granted her wish of a son. She would have done this, should have made this sacrifice a long time ago, should have prayed this prayer a long time ago. But like the gospel said, it says that, but it was hidden from her eyes. And so I want to bring our minds onto it this morning. Many of us have been praying this kind of prayer for a very long time. Many of us have been asking God for this particular thing for a very long time, and we are not answering. Perhaps it looks like God is not listening. Perhaps it looks like God is not really going to answer. Perhaps it looks like all things are lost. But the gospel in Luke chapter 19, verse 44 says that, because you might not have recognized the time of God's coming to you. And so this morning, I am reminding you to take caution of the time, of this time that God has for us. It says that, if only you had known this day what would bring you peace. I want to put it to you what brings you peace. For Hannah, her peace was the sacrifice that she made unto God. Perhaps your peace is also that sacrifice that you need to make unto God. God is calling unto you to sacrifice that thing, that particular thing, that thing that you alone know that you've been battling with. For some of us, we have been battling some addictions. For some of us, we have been battling some ailments. For some of us, we have been battling one particular thing. Perhaps it is time for you to sacrifice that thing unto God. Perhaps it is time for you to make that covenant with God. Perhaps it's time for you to sit down and have that communication with God. Perhaps it is time for you to sit down and have that fellowship with God. And like the gospel said, if you had known what would have brought you peace, we would have done it, but it's hidden from your eyes. Tonight, that shade is being taken away from your eyes. I'm reminding you that there's a need to have that covenant with God. I'm reminding you that there's a need to make that sacrifice unto God. And when you make that sacrifice unto God, we are saying that it will bring you peace. And then it says again that day will come upon you when the enemies will build an embankment against you. Perhaps the enemy has already built that embankment against you. Perhaps that is why you've been praying for success, but you keep failing. Perhaps that's why you've been praying for growth, but you keep failing. Perhaps the enemy is already ruling, triumphing over you. But I pray that you do not miss the call of God this morning. You do not miss the call to make that special sacrifice unto him. I pray that you don't miss this timing to sacrifice unto God that particular thing that you're battling with. To make that sacrifice unto God. And like Anna did, she prayed and even Eli wondered if she was drunk, but she reminded Eli that she wasn't drunk. She was so deep into her prayer, she was so deep into her request that she lost focus of herself. Perhaps it is time for you to lose focus of yourself. Perhaps it is time for you to lose yourself unto God. Perhaps it's time for you to loosen yourself for God to take control. And I believe that it is at that point that when we lose control of ourselves, at that point that when we make that sacrifice unto God, perhaps it's at that point that when we make that covenant unto God, then we are going to have that peace that we require, that peace that we're running after, that joy in the Lord that we're running after, that answer that we've been seeking, would get it. And so that's my prayer for us this morning. May we never miss the timing of God. May we never miss the call of God. May we never miss our opportunity to triumph. May we never miss that opportunity to live our divine lives for God. And even as we are going about our daily activities, even as we are going about our week, I pray that the Lord will give us the strength to focus on him. The Lord will grant us that strength to stay within his time, that we won't miss our mark and we won't miss our glory, and that the peace that we'll be running after, that joy we're running after, that answer we've been searching for would get it. Amen.